Good morning, it's Leanne Peters here. I'm from templeofbalance.com.au, Temple of Balance on Facebook and Temple of Balance on YouTube, and I'm here out in nature to record a few videos. This first one is our Wednesday check-in. So every Wednesday at this point I'm going to share a short video like this to check in and see how you're doing. I'm going to most likely do, well today I'm going to do some smudging. I'm going to pull a healing energy card and we'll just touch base a little bit. So this is, a check-in. So check in with ourselves. How are you doing? How are you feeling in this moment? Be careful of thinking about how you felt an hour ago or how you felt last week or how you might feel in an hour's time with something you've got going on. Do a quick check-in and see how you're feeling now in this very moment. So when I do that, I stop and I just do a scan of my body from top to bottom, and I check in and see how my body's doing. I check in and see, how am I feeling? How am I actually really feeling right now in this moment? And with the information that I get, I can then use that information to make some adjustments, to maybe step into some rest time or some self-care. Maybe if I'm feeling a bit dry or a bit dehydrated, grab some water. So I can make adjustments based on what I'm sensing for myself. So that's a really important thing to do. So we'll make this check-in video, we'll make this about how do we check in? How do we do this with ourselves? And I've noticed some people, they tend to check in with themselves when they're in a really low space. So it might be months before they check in. And they check in when they're in their lowest, darkest moments, when things are loud. It's harder to make improvements to things or adjustments when things are dire. So for me, I like to check in regularly, daily actually, and sometimes several times a day, to make sure if things are going in this direction, that I can stop them here before they reach here. So I'm going to stop them here so I can make some adjustments, make some changes, make some improvements, and get back on track again or back into balance. So our check-in is incredibly important, so important. And it's not up to other people to check in for us. This is a job that we can only do for ourselves. So when we get to know how we feel, we get to know how our body feels, we get to know how our feelings feel, what's going on in our mind, we also get to know ourselves better. And when we get to know ourselves better, well, we're on the track then to finding our truth and living with purpose because we're knowing who we are. So be careful that you're not letting yourself slip downhill for a long period of time before you really truly check in. Sometimes it takes breakdown to force us to look, or it takes sickness or illness to force us to look. Let's check in before we even get close to that point. So let's grab a healing energy card for now, and then I'm going to do some smudging to help clear some stuff that we've noticed as we check in with ourselves. So I'm using my healing energy cards here. There are 55 cards in this deck, and I'm just going to grab a card to see what it wants to add to this sort of checking in topic. And then next week, when I check in with you again, we'll expand or explore that just a little bit further. So this is just the basics of checking in and why it is so valuable. So our card to add a little bit to this is this. It's this. It's Enchantment, card 1. This says connect with the elementals and the fairy realms. Connect with nature, in other words. It says lighten up and be joyful, grounding and carefree. And this is known as the sleeping pill card in the deck because we put it under our pillow and it just tends to work wonders when we're having sleepless nights. So grab this from your deck if you need that sort of assistance. But this is adding a carefree, light-hearted connection to what I'm talking about with checking in. So you know how when things go downhill and things get more complicated, more complex, more confronting, more challenging, more stressful, we get heavier, we get more closed in, we become more isolated. This card's reminding us that when we can check in regularly and when we can catch ourselves when we're starting to go like this before we get right down there in the pits, when we can catch ourselves there, we can lighten up our energy. That reduces our stress. It makes the way we're perceiving our challenges a lot more light-hearted. It makes things easier. So my challenge to you this week is to see if you can double the amount of times that you're checking in with yourself. So if you check in with yourself monthly, please at least check in with yourself once this week, maybe twice. If you check in with yourself weekly or every other week, check in with yourself a couple of times this week. If you check in with yourself daily or every other day, start checking in daily. Check in the morning, check in the night. Check in the middle of the day too. See if you can increase your check-in times. It only takes a moment. It really only takes a moment. So check in when you're waiting at the traffic lights. Check in when you're waiting to pick the kids up from school. Check in when you're waking up in the morning just before you get out of bed. Check in when you're relaxing in bed and you're about to fall asleep. And see what you observe. It's not about judging, we're observing. Let's light the smudge stick. So the smudge stick, I've got a sage smudge stick here. We're just going to light this to do just a little bit of clearing of whatever it is that you've discovered as you've checked in. Whatever you've observed, observe it and then think about, okay, what do I need to do to balance this out? So nice big breath. Okay, so we ask this sacred smoke to carry away all negative energies, entities, cords, hooks, attacks and attachments. Basically anything that we're holding on too tightly to that's not working for us. Let's let it go. So surrender it now. Focus with your out breath as you breathe out. Let go. Letting go. So let's take 3 nice big breaths. Okay, so it is, and that's all it takes. That's really all it takes. So how are you doing in this moment? Thank you for joining me today. Let me know if you've enjoyed this video. Please comment below. Please hit the thumbs up button, the love heart. Please share if you're inspired to, if you think someone else might benefit from this connecting, checking in sort of time. And if you want to connect more privately, just send us a message through our website. So I will be back pretty much most Wednesdays at this point with a little video like this, just a little check-in video. We'll expand from this, like I say, because, I think, connecting in with, okay, what is checking in? That's sort of introductory in this video. Next week, we'll talk about something else and check in. So we'll see how we go. So thanks for connecting. If you want to learn more about me and my work at Temple of Balance, please visit my website at templeofbalance.com.au. Thank you so much and namaste. Bye.